Number 17 says, which equation represents the hyperbola with foci at those two locations and a transverse axis that is 8 units long? All right, which of the types of problems would this be? Why conics? What do you see? Yeah, if it says hyperbola, it's going to be a conic section. Now, conic sections, you need to know your vocabulary for 2A, 2B, and 2C. You need to know that. So in this problem, it says foci. What is foci? 2A, 2B, 2C. 3, 2, 1. 2C. Perfect. The other thing you need to do is figure out what letter that would be attached with. What's changing? The X. Now, that's not as important with foci, but it does. I'll point out in a second why it matters. It's X. Okay, so we go from -8 to +4. I want you to think about what's the distance between -8 all the way to +4. 12. So 8 one way, 4 the other way. You add those together. 12. I agree. 2C is 12. Now, here's a big trick for you. Not only should you ask yourself the question, what letter is changing and by how much, you should also find out what that variable is squared, because A, B, and C, you're always going to want to square them, just always for the formula. Now, I'll show you what that does in a second. How do I get C isolated? We divide by 2. And so what does C actually equal? 6. Now, A, B, and C, you're always going to want to square them. What is C squared? Now, go to the formula chart with me, please. And on conic sections, this, what shape is this? Whoops. Clear that off. We are looking at hyperbola. Now, we'll be able to figure out which equations used in a second, but I just want to start the obvious. Look at both formulas that you have for hyperbola, both of these two. Do either standard form equations include a C squared? No. So frequently, you will see distractors that include C squared. We know what C squared is. Should that be included in the problem? No. So which ones can I eliminate based off C squared? A and B. A and B are gone. So it has to be one of these two. It shows me that the x squared is going to be positive first. If we have all that, you could go off of this, the lie, but these both have the lie on them that shows the y as being +3 and it has y -3. So can't solve the question there. So I need to move on. It says the transverse axis is 8 units. What is transverse? 2A, 2B, 2C. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, that's wrong. It's not 2B. It is 2A. Transverse is 2A. So now that we know 2A is 8, how do I get 1A? Divide by 2. So 1A is 4, and A squared would be 16. I'm going to go to the formula chart. The A squared, to figure out where does the A squared go? And the equation that has a positive x fraction and a negative y fraction is this first one. It's not the second. It's this first one. Oh, and I forgot to say this with foci. Well, let me finish the problem first. The one that has the x squared being the positive fraction and the y squared negative, like our two options here, that formula has a squared under x. So 16 has to be under the x. Which one's the correct answer? 16 has to be under x squared. So the answer is D, this one here. So the answer is D. The 16 is in the wrong location. By the way, this one was only scored correctly. Oh, I did not, did I? 58% of the time. 16, believe it or not, is low. 49%. Only 49% got that right. Okay, on 17, one thing I forgot to tell you. So go back to foci. Foci changed which letter? X. I meant to tell you this earlier and I forgot. When you go to the formula chart, you see how it has foci listed there? the two foci, when you look at them, this two C's here is represented by a positive C and a negative C. This 2C, which value are they changing? Is this changing the X or the Y? That one's changing Y. What did our C's change in the problem? Do you remember? Let me show you again. What did the C's change? The X's. So it would be this problem because here the C is changing the X value. That's the X, that's the Y. The C's, the two C's are changing the X. And that was another reason why you could have known it was that formula. I forgot to tell you that at the start.